Hi, I'm Ellen Shaver, and I'm here at the Ginter Botanical Gardens Library today, and I'm an invitee to the Ginter Botanical Garden Fest of Lights this year. And every other year, various people from around the city of Richmond, Virginia, are invited in to become a part of a miniatures exhibit, which is held here in the Laura Robbins Library. And today I'm showing off 5 of my dioramas here that have been built in various times, and they depict several different cities, several different subjects. Take for example here the Zepp Diner, which was built originally in Hawthorne, California. And today, that same diner is occupied by a McDonald's and a Valero station next door on West Florence Avenue, and it's just off of the 5 freeway. For some of the old Angelinos, it was the old Golden State Freeway. This would have been a prototype of one of the pure oil cottages in Richmond, Virginia, and it was constructed up at 25th and P, around the corner from where Edgar Allan Poe spent a good deal of his adult life, and just down the street from St. John's Church, where Patrick Henry gave his famous speech back in the 1700s. Now, in the early 1900s, this particular station was in a deed-restricted neighborhood, and Pure Oil Company of Chicago, Illinois, wanted to find out whether or not they could take a commercial structure and put it inside of a deed-restricted neighborhood without it upsetting the architectural balance of the homes around the area. This was one example, and because it was so successful, Pure Oil Company then took its cottage along all of its Midwestern and Eastern retail outlets. This building was built in 1921. And existed as a service station until 1953, at which time it became a very popular barbecue takeout restaurant. Today, I'm not real sure if the building is occupied or not. I know it was occupied as of about 5 years ago, as far as the barbecue restaurant. And I'm standing here with a miniature of what was Quality Oil number 5 in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Now, this building nearly met its permanent demise in 1992, but it was resurrected by the art school up the street. And today, it's on the register, the National Register of Historical Places. This building here is right here in our hometown of Richmond, Virginia, over in Jackson Ward, and it was known as the Preston Avenue Amoco when it was built in 1937. The lady who owned the building lived very nearby in the Eggleston Hotel, and it remained as a service station right up until 1974. This is the Fish Inn of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, about 100 miles west of Seattle, Washington. And this is how the building looked prior to a grease fire that took it out in 1992. Hi, I'm Ellen Shaver, and I'm here today in the Laura Robbins Library, which is part of the Lewis Ginter Botanical Gardens here in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm an invitee here this year to the Minatures exhibit, which is being held in the Laura Robbins Library. And this is my second time here. My first time was in 2014, and that was a result of a local arts magazine known as Style Weekly, where I was written about by the author Dale Brumfield, who wrote the now rather famous book, The Underground Newspapers of Richmond, Virginia. Because I was part of that scene in the 1960s, as I was in radio myself. I worked at WJRB and later WTBR AM. I also did promotions for some of the local musicians here in Richmond, including Bruce Springsteen. Yes, he was with Steel Mill in that time, and so was Robin Thompson. And Robin was a very close friend of mine right up until his passing here a couple of years ago. I went to school with another one of the members, Steve Bassett. We attended Freeman High School together here in Richmond, Virginia. And together we were all part of the old Crossroads Coffee House, which was on West Franklin Street during the 1960s, and it ran up until 1983 when the church decided that they no longer wanted, quote, hippies banging on guitars. Well, by that time, I was long gone from Crossroads, and I had moved on to other art venues, one being doing miniatures. And of course, my hobby being antique service station history, that has always excited me. So the reason I have so many service stations is, quite frankly, I'm in love with the darn things. I love them. And I love driving old cars and reminiscing about some of the ways that things were being done back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. Now today, you know, the service station is the dinosaur and the chrome bumper of the past, and it's been replaced by the convenience store. But those ice cold pop days when you ride your bicycle up to the service station and gas wasn't but 18 cents a gallon, well, yes, it's true. One of my members over here is giving me funny looks, and she's, you know, there's no way you could live at 18 cents a gallon. Well, these were gas wars. In fact, premium gasoline here in Richmond was 23 to 32 cents a gallon right up until 1973 during the Arab oil embargo. And then it went to a whopping 54.9, which we thought was outrageous. 55 cents a gallon for gas? Holy moly. But anyway, I'm represented here by the Amoco project, which was an Amoco station here in Richmond, Virginia, built in 1937. And the Triangle Filling Station, which is the little pier station at 25th and P, which is on Church Hill. The other service station, of course, is one of my favorite buildings. It's the last remaining shell building, and it's the last of 8. In fact, there were 8 of these shell buildings built by the Quality Oil Company of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And by the way, Quality Oil is still in the same business of selling shell products, along with being a convenience store owner and hotel owner as well. When you go down to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, you can still buy Shell oil products by way of the Quality Oil Company. I got into cabinet work by way of the fact that in 1970, a friend of mine wanted to do speaker cabinets for some of the local bands here in Richmond, one of them being Steel Mill, who was Bruce Springsteen. And as a result, I started doing cabinetry, or actually home speakers for stereo systems, which that partnership didn't quite work out. And in the meantime, I was a recovering alcoholic, and to substitute the alcohol, I substituted it with basically some of the strongest coffee that you might ever want to drink. And I enjoyed drinking it out of a mug. And I had, at that time, an old 1969 Chevrolet van. And I needed some place to put my coffee mug at, because every time I would take a turn, so went the coffee mug over to the passenger seat or out the window or wherever. So the idea of making a drink holder for these old vans came along, and mine were made to accommodate mugs of all things. Now, I took the idea down to Houston and opened up what today is the Art Forms Design Company, where I met several people that were into the West Coast custom van scene. And I was manufacturing parts for several different retail shops. I did very little retail of my own. Mostly what I did was I would promote the products at the custom van shows, which were usually held on the weekends from all the way from Texas down to middle Florida. In the meantime, the Texas Historical Society noticed my work, and they decided that I could also do model work for them, and that's where I started to do cabinet work and architectural models for the Texas Historical Society. And I branched out, and because I'm from Richmond, Virginia here, I've also done several exhibits here around the state of Virginia, one of them being Mount Vernon. I've done jobs up in Churchill here in Richmond, and I've done jobs for the Virginia Historical Society over on the Boulevard. I've also done a couple of jobs for the film industry, and I still continue to do that today. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today and visiting us here at Laura Robbins Library, and I hope you enjoy yourselves out here at the Garden Fest of Lights. Merry Christmas to all. Thank you very much.